What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mental Monday with me, Ben. I'm actually getting ready to do my podcast with co-host Matt Dernland in about 10 to 15 minutes here. And so what I want to talk to you guys about today is the balance, right? I always talk about balance in a lot of categories, and one of the things I talk about quite a bit is having enough self-awareness to know what you're doing wrong and make those corrections. And if you don't have enough of that, then you go find a coach. Hey, coach, what do I need to do? Why am I not winning? How do I fix this? Et cetera, et cetera. And so one way or the other, you're going to figure out how you need to get better, right? What changes you need to make. And so now the balance to that, there's a balance to that, of course. The balance to that, of course, is that sometimes you're doing all the right things and you still don't get a great result. Okay? And so I had a lot of this at Fargo. I think I personally had it 2 weeks ago. And then, I was kind of thinking about doing this topic, and then Yianni said something. So we had Yianni in for camp, and I'm actually, I don't want to give you guys too much of a secret, but I am doing a podcast with him on Wednesday. So I don't know when that'll come out, but I'm going to do it on Wednesday. He said something. We did a Q&A with our kids when he was at camp here, and he said something to the effect that if your coach yells at you simply based on the win or the loss, you probably need to find a new coach because they don't get it. I love the way he said it, because he didn't say they were mean or they were anything else. He just said they don't get it. And I think that is so true. And so, what I saw a lot of Fargo, I saw a lot of our kids who were doing the right things, who I know they're training the right way. And listen, some of them have been doing the wrong things in the past, and we changed what they're doing. Now they're doing the right things. They're training hard. They're focusing on the right areas. And frankly, they're just not good enough yet. And that happens sometimes. And so what do? You just keep the path, right? You keep going straight. And I think obviously the opposite is sometimes you're doing stuff wrong, you change it. But I see a lot of coaches, parents especially, who every single time there's a loss, they want to change something. And the worst one is that parent that says, we need to go to a new club, we need a new coach. So every time their kid experiences a loss or a failure, they don't put it on themselves, or their child. They don't have say, hey, maybe we just need some more time. They say, oh, we need to get a new club, we need to get a new coach. They just keep changing clubs and coaches. So if I see a kid that changes clubs habitually or changes high schools habitually, I know their parents probably got some issues. That's almost guaranteed. And so, with a lot of kids at Fargo, they were doing all the right things. Fargo's a really hard tournament. There's some really, really, really good kids. And sometimes you're just not going to come out on top. And you have to know. And so with a lot of these kids, they hated losing. They were really upset about it. And they said, well, coach, what do I need to change? And listen, some of them, we did make some changes. But some of them, I said, man, you're doing a great job. You're coming to practice all the time. You're working hard. I asked you to change these things. You changed them. You're going the right direction. You just need to stick with it. And so the other thing we talked about all the time, and it's kind of in the mountain metaphor that Askren Wrestling Academy uses for its logo, is that there's two parts to it, right? Number one, you can't just take one step and get to the top of the mountain. It takes many steps to get to the top of the mountain. There's no jumping to the top. There's no helicopter to the top of Mount Everest. You just have to climb all the way there, and sometimes it takes long times, and you just have to keep going. Number two is there are false peaks, right? So sometimes when you're climbing a mountain, you climb it, and you think you're reaching the top, and then you get over to what you think is the top, and then oh crap, wow, it's way up there. And so, Anthony, I think the top of the mountain for wrestling is obvious. It's the Olympics. I think that's easy, right? The next, but then I don't even call them false peaks. There's just other peaks, right? NCAA championships, Fargo, state championships. There's a lot of, I don't want to call them false peaks, but other pinnacles of what you're doing at the certain time that may then allow you then to later reach peaks. Yes, Flo, I won Fargo in 2002, but just like listen, I'll take this story back to myself. Well, myself is 2 weeks ago I got knocked out, and listen, I don't think I was doing anything wrong. My training was great. Everything was great. I made one misjudgment. It cost me. It happens, right? But it's not like going into that I would have changed anything. My training was fantastic. But then if we go back to Fargo, I went 0-2 as my first year. I went 4-2 my next year. Then I took fourth, and then I won it. So there was a really consistent progress there. And, that year I went 0-2, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so terrible, I need to change everything. It was like, okay, you know what, actually what I did that year, I overtrained a little bit. So, hey, it was a lesson. But I didn't change everything. A lot of things I'm doing are good. I just need to tone it down a little bit. And the next year, I was getting there, but I wasn't super physically mature enough yet. And that was a big thing. And now, obviously at that age, I didn't realize that. But now looking back, I do realize it. And so I think that is such an important lesson. I think lots of times, I'm probably more frequently, I talk about the opposite side of the coin is that we need to have a lot of self-awareness and change what we're doing sometimes and be aware of that. But sometimes we need to say, hey, listen, we're doing everything right, and it's just going to take some more time. And that's okay. There's literally nothing wrong with that. You got to dig in. You got to be in for the long haul, because this is not a short journey. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. We are going to go for a long time. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I am about to podcast with Matt. I think that'll either be posted later today or tomorrow. Maybe at some point Matt and I will we have done a handful of live podcasts, but sometime maybe we'll do future live podcasts. So that's all I got for you guys. Have a great day. Peace.